So those are the things that brought me. So listening is like inherent in me being a midwife. I've grown so much from just listening to women and getting strength from them and the things that they have been able to overcome and the lives that they've been able to build. And I'm just so honored to be able to sit with them. So I would want to understand why a student is coming to midwifery before I could speak to them about listening to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder sometimes if that's one of the differences between like an MD care versus a midwifery care. That part of it. What is the person sitting across from you? What is their life story? What is their life experience? And that's valuable to us in some way.
And educating them.
Yeah. And something you said that struck me too is that sort of inviting, I'm paraphrasing, but inviting them to sort of dream their own dreams and like let that be in the space of care too that's a pretty big deal, I think. Because I think we think of care as very transactional, like I do this and you do this and we are done, you know. Right?
Right.
Where do you feel like you what spaces do you feel like you make relationships?
So interesting. I was just telling the nurses, the nurse family practice nurses, I love family planning because I really feel like that is the unique opportunity to sit with women and families and build a relationship, like really get to know them, let them get to know me. And I've been practicing at the FQHC in Long Island going on 4 years now. So I know those are really, really well, and I'm the only family practice provider there. So I see all of the women coming for GYN and contraceptive care. And it's so nice to see how the relationships have developed over time, to be able to see some of the young women that used to come 4 years ago, now starting college, moving on to do the things that they said they wanted to do, coming back to say, hey, I graduated, or I'm moving away, I'm going to, start a life over here now. And just nice to see that they have that comfort level to know that I'm going to care, to hear that. They're not just coming to get something or need something, that they know I would care to hear how they're doing.
So even if it's not for care, right? They're coming to say.
And I tell them, you come and if you just want to, you can make an appointment for that. That's okay.
Yeah.
Out here, it's important.
Yeah. It's like a therapeutic appointment in a way, right? Yeah. What about, so you work clinic here too, right? Right, so you have a prenatal panel?
I do. It's kind of rocky. It's not as much continuity, especially not particularly not as much as I had in the previous practice that I was in. But I do have some relationships here that are really nice. Yeah.
Do you miss that, not having that continuity?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
What are the sort of institutional challenges of not having that? Because when I worked here full time, I did have that. It was where I thrived,
Well, a part of that is just a change in my role here. On Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm operating as the clinic manager. On Mondays, I'm having a panel, and that's every other Monday. So I just really don't have the scheduling. Prior to that, I didn't like regular days in the clinic, so that was the other challenge. So it wasn't really the institution, it was more of a schedule. Okay. My unique schedule. Yeah.
Can you talk about being clinic manager? What's that like? I have the whole night.
So it's very interesting.
That's a new role, no?
Yeah, it is a new role. So basically we're to look at issues related to the flow to improve patient satisfaction, provider satisfaction, like everyone's satisfaction, and to be a resource for nursing if they have questions that need a clinical eye. So for myself, I started at the front desk just to see how they function in their roles, and saw some of the challenges that they faced and tried to simple fixes, really.
So you were at the front desk and you just observed?
And then get their input. And then make some suggestions for things that we could do to help.
So what did you notice?
I noticed that they answer the phones and they are requesting a nurse. It's like any nurse to pick up 8300, and in my mind, I'd be thinking, okay, somebody else is going to get it. So who's going to get the phone? So the patient sits on the phone, and then they either hang up and call back and curse the clerical staff out, or they're just like raging mad when the clerk gets back on and says, I'm trying to get you someone. So that's a distraction. It takes about anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes to register a patient because they're updating the pharmacy information. If the patient doesn't speak English, they have to get a translator. If the patient doesn't have ID, they have to try to get someone from finance to see if they have any record of this patient. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then they got the phone. And then they're giving out the MetroCard slips. Right. So, and then they're also handing out the pregnancy test at the front for the patients to go to the bathroom So, considering they do, and they're always I've never heard any patient complain about being treated poorly at the front. So I'm very impressed with the way they're able to handle everything, especially when there's a long line of patients waiting to register. And then I moved towards the back with the triage nurse and seeing what was that person's process like. And just helping to identify who needs to be seen and who doesn't need to be seen, who can get an appointment. Not just taking all of the walk-ins and overburdening all the providers or the walk-in provider. Communicating with the walk-in provider so that women have a realistic expectation of when they might be seen, even though they're a walk-in. Maybe they can go pick their kids up, get them situated, and come back. They shouldn't just be sitting here since 9 o'clock because they thought they were going to be seen in an hour. They should have some kind of expectation. Getting the walk-in provider to lunch. You can't just keep taking patients and think this person's not going to eat. We got to have a cutoff at some point and let people know you go also have lunch and then come back. So just communicating more. And helping them to navigate difficult situations with patients. Like we had a patient that said she came from the ED with bleeding, early pregnancy, hadn't been seen by us, and wanted to be seen immediately and wanted the sonogram and all of this other stuff. So going in and just kind of diffusing that stuff, letting them understand what the expectation is when you come here and whether you should even be here. Calling the ED, communicating with them. So navigating those kind of situations. Watching the provider schedules to make sure that they're, moving along as expected, and if they need any help, to just jump in and give them a hand.
But weren't the nurses doing that?
The what?
Like monitoring all these things?
No.
No. Okay.
No. And then to be quite honest,
but that is part of their role, no?
They're also being asked to do a level of work without being given the tools. If they don't always have a walk-in provider, how are they supposed to see walk-ins? How are they supposed to manage that? And still watch the provider schedules and assist with whatever else they're supposed to be assisting with in terms of procedures and injections and whatever else. So it's a lot. So
are there places where you were seeing kind of bottlenecks, or like you can figure out, okay, this is a problem area, this is a problem area? Because I feel like since I've been here 10 years, and that has been always like, how do you fix the clinic? The clinic is a mess. People are miserable in the clinic. Patients and providers.
It's a lot better.
Yeah. So what were those kind of hot spots?
The walk-in provider. Just
seeing everything and anything.
Every and anything.
So nobody was triaging those people either? Or?
Certain nurses were very good at triaging. Other ones, no. The one in particular, absolutely not, and I made a recommendation that she not be in triage. She's just shouldn't be there.
Right.
And no communication, not communicating with the provider to see where they were in seeing patients. And they had like 3 different schedules: the nurse's schedule, the walk-in provider schedule, and then that person, the walk-in provider's actual schedule. So there'd be all these patients scattered all over the place. It needs to be on one schedule. They should not be expected to look all these different places. If they're not on their schedule, they're not being seen. You need to move them over. So that caused a huge amount of chaos. Once that was resolved, things got better